Hello everybody, Loacher for Life here, giving you a quick little intro before we get to the main video. So the other day, me and MasterSwagKing, another really small YouTuber, did this video. It was just a little chat, and it was really interesting. Kind of felt like an interview, but it was really just fun to do. And I think you guys should check out MasterSwagKing. He's really nice. Makes some great content, and he's really nervous about those YouTube rule changes, so go and help him out. So that's all I really gotta say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you next time. So, and this is where if I knew how to edit, I would do a title sequence and then swap, but see you later.
Hey YouTube, it's MasterSwagKing here. I am joined here by high tier, low tier for life. So, the thing with you, is your channel, is that you like lower tier decks. Is that the general meme and consensus around you?
Yeah, I do low tier decks. Funnily enough, I did not come up with the name of the channel. A friend of mine did. So originally the channel was supposed to be me and my 4 friends, and it would be like a team effort kind of thing. And I suck at naming things, which is why if you check out my gaming channel, notice that whenever I play an RPG, I always name my characters after characters from TV shows and anime and stuff, because I can't name things. So, since we all played lower tier decks, and I still do, for the most part, like I have Pendulum Magicians, but that's because I freaking love that archetype and with it ever since it first came out. And it's been low tier for like ever, and now it's kind of meta, then it's going to become meta once Electromite comes out. So, sometimes I'll have a low tier deck that suddenly becomes high tier, but other than that, I just do not shell out the money to build, spirals and stuff, because I'm a minimum wage paid college student who works part-time. I don't have that kind of money to,
Do you hate meta decks? Is that like you just don't like them, or or would you play them if you had the money?
It really depends. Certain meta decks, like, I absolutely love playing spirals to an extent. Playing them too much gets kind of boring, especially if I do just copy the same thing over and over. I don't like copying people's decks. I like doing my own thing. So even if I do have a meta deck, I like to throw my own twists in there and try out new different ideas and, try and really see what I can do to just innovate with the deck. I remember, oh crap, what was that one deck? God, I completely drawn a blank, but there was one deck that I remember there was a lot of hype around, and I was messing around with it. And everybody just called it bad, but I loved doing that one thing. I can't for the life of me remember what it was.
Was it like Dark Lords?
I think it was, actually. I can't remember.
It had so much hype around it. It's nothing. Literally nothing. It had like 2 tops. That doesn't even really count as top because they're A or G tops. I mean, people don't generally count those.
And that's not even as bad as freaking vampires. I remember everybody was freaking out about that deck.
When Shadow got announced, oh my god, the vampire hype was there. Vampire's best deck ever, OP, best, that asterisk title. Woof.
Oh dear lord. I remember it was so expensive too. It was ridiculous. I'm like, this deck sucks. It's fun, but it sucks. I want to play it. And everyone was like, no, you're an idiot. I can't tell you how many times that's happened. I remember... Well, huh?
For bad decks?
Bad decks, good decks, generally. Heck, I remember when Luster Pendulum and Ignister first came out, everybody just, did not give a crap about those cards, because there was no good decks they could play it in. I played them in freaking Ignites, and they won me so many games, it wasn't even funny. And... I don't know. I was like the first person at my locals who thought that Ignister was a good card.
I remember Luster, before it was like $60, Luster was $5.
I had a playset. I made a lot of money when it went up.
Really? I pulled one and I had like 3. I was like, oh my god. If you had just seen the OCG deck profiles, wow, people just didn't even look at it. Nah, it's not even doing anything over here. Pendulums are good. Bam! Yeah. Bam, you get that plus fire. Nope. Once we got Perform Mages, everything that people thought about Pendulums just completely flipped. And Pendulums killed the game, and, they made me miss school. They made me cry on my mental health. Because apparently Yu-Gi-Oh! has an effect on people's mental health nowadays. I don't understand how that's happening.
I freaking hate Pepe, that whole deck and everything, for one primary reason. Because of that deck and how stupid it was, Konami never gave us the rest of the Perform Age stuff from the anime. There's a solid 20 plus more cards from the anime, including a Fusion Monster, 2 Xyz, and so much more for a Perform Age archetype. We never got any of it.
From the RV series, right?
Yeah, from Arc V.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I can't remember the names right now. So good, though.
Yeah, there was a female version of the rank 4 with 2500 attack. I think she was called like I can't remember. It was like Trapeze Apprentice, something like that. I can't remember. And then there was a rank 5 version of Trapeze Magician. And then there was a rank like 5 or 6 that could summon other copies of himself from the extract, which is really cool. It just had so many cool ideas, and I really liked it. But Konami was like, "No, we ain't doing this.
We ain't doing this anymore. Fuck that." What about the anime? So you mentioned Arc V. Have you watched all the Yu-Gi-Oh animes?
I've watched pretty much every single one of them. I grew up watching the original up to a point. It was actually the original series that got me into the game. I remember keenly. I was like 5, 6 years old, probably even younger than that. My brother went into my room. My stepbrother, really, but I just refer to him as my brother. He came over one day, and he brought a VHS over, and he went in my room, shut the door, and I'm like, "Oh, what's going on?" I go in, and he's watching the Duelist Kingdom duel between Yugi and Kaiba, and Kaiba has the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon out, and I'm like, "Oh, dragons!" Oh. 5 years old. And I sit down and watch it, and the first thing I hear is Yugi saying, "I activate my magic card." And so for the longest time, I referred to Yu-Gi-Oh! As magic.
Mine was different. I was flipping through the TV, and I saw Celtic Guardian attack Toon Mermaid, and she caught it. I was like, "Who's that dude with the sword?" So I called Celtic Guardian the one guy with the sword. My mom was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Mom, what is that?" She did not know. And then I saw Yu-Gi-Oh! I was like, "Oh, that's where that came from." And then I was like, "Okay," I watched it, and I watched it from the very first episode to get to where I got to. Then I passed that, and then after that, Battle City had just started, so I just all got caught up, and I was like, "Wow." I watched this. At that point in time, you're 60 episodes in, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, now, funnily enough, I've never actually finished the original series. When I was a kid, I remember I was watching it on Cartoon Network up until the Battle City arc ended, and then they swapped it over to Channel 11 for Saturday mornings. And I was never up that early except to watch Power Rangers.
I watched Power Rangers. I definitely watched Power Rangers. I was up at 7. My mom was like, "You stay up as long as you want on Friday and Saturday." I didn't care. Her parents was like, "Well, if you're gonna go to sleep at 11, you're gonna get up at 7 o'clock." And we got up at 7. We were up, but I still haven't watched everything. I remember the Power Rangers. I don't know. My brother still is a hardcore fan of it. I really don't respect where it went after RPM, honestly, because realistically, it really should have ended. I don't see the point of continuing realistically after that, but.
RPM was scheduled to be the last Power Rangers series, period. But then there was a sudden popularity boost, and Hasbro was like, "Oh, okay, I guess there's more interest," and then they kept going. But there was a year or two in between when RPM and the next one came out. I can't remember.
Samurai.
Yeah, I haven't watched anything past RPM. I haven't even watched much RPM.
I tried what's that, Megaforce? Because I know it from the Gokai Kaijo thing, but I was like, this is... I mean, what made it good was because people think it's like childish. It's really not. There was Time Force. This dude got slashed in the back and he died.
Some of the series get super dark. Heck, I remember Dino Thunder was my favorite, still is.
Oh yeah,
and
Dino Thunder.
They explore I remember, and looking back on it, I didn't realize this as a kid, but the White Ranger and how his father was kind of abusive to him, and that's what drove him to. Yeah, and that was just. I remember loving that series so much. God, I remember. I love it how they linked SPD with Time Force, because SPD and Time Force take place in the same universe but at different time periods.
Yeah.
And you don't realize this till one of the last episodes when the future when some of the future Rangers come in, and it's the same like animations and stuff as they did in Time Force.
It was like, Ninja Storm was dark too. Despite Ninja Storm being kind of fun, Ninja Storm was pretty dark. Like Lothor was a pretty serious villain, despite him being like one of the more general comedy villains. He was pretty. Power Rangers in Space was one of my favorites of all time. Power Rangers in Space is definitely my favorite.
I'll be honest, I've only ever seen a few episodes of that because I didn't get into the series until I would say Ninja Storm came out, because I remember seeing the commercials for it. I'm like, oh, cool, that looks cool. And then I'd see reruns of Wild Force and the originals.
Wild Force was weak. Ugh. Wild Force stunk.
My favorite thing about Wild Force, though, was the Oni who turns good. I can't remember his name, but he's like the black Oni with like the huge horn, and he has a blue. That guy was... I can't remember his name.
Merrick?
Maybe that was his name. I can't remember, but he was like the best part of the series, and I loved everything about him. And I'm like, oh, cool, he's going to join the Power. Oh, okay, he turns into a human, and now he's a Power Ranger. I'm like, God dang it, come on! How cool would it have been if he stayed in Oni and worked with the Power Rangers at that?
Wild Force had the what is considered the greatest episode ever, which is the Red Ranger team up.
Oh yeah, the Forever Red.
I don't know if I would consider like the greatest episode ever. That it's kind of overhyped.
I haven't seen it since I was like 7, so I can't speak on anything.
But generally, the series, Chaim Saban saw it as another, as I could still make money from it, so we bought it back. Disney didn't need to have it after a while. Like, they had some really weak seasons. Like, Operation Overdrive was weak. Jungle Fury stunk.
I liked Jungle Fury.
Why? People love it. This series stunk.
I love the intro song for some reason, and I love the Sensei dude. I can't remember what his name was, but like every scene with the Sensei dude was just hilarious, and I loved it. But I think my favorite of the like kind of Dark Horse ones, I know a lot of people don't like, is Mystic Force. I don't get the big thing that
Mystic Force was probably the darkest one.
Yeah, Mystic Force was great. The funny thing is that the reason why people hate Mystic Force is because they made it solely to ride the Harry Potter bandwagon. Because it cannot.
I can see that. I can see the yeah. I can see why people wouldn't like it that much.
There's a lot of correlations between Mystic Force and Harry Potter. You know, you got this gifted child who was like sent away to protect him from the darkness, and then oh no, he comes back and the darkness is trying to get him, and then
They had 3 villains in that series: the Titans. There was that first guy. There was the Wizard guy.
I remember when they pulled the classic "I am your father" thing with the Dark Knight dude. I did not see that coming at all, and it blew my 8-year-old mind.
Dude, I knew. I've been through TV and movies. Whenever you see a new character, they're always fighting them. They're probably related, or they're probably a villain. It's just something I know by now.
Yeah, but like Evil Knight guy, I can't for the life of me remember his name. Yeah, that's what it was. He was like in the series from the very beginning, and then I love it how very briefly main character turns into like he gains the power, turns into like a new Korag, and then his dad beats him up.
I don't know about Nick being a Red Ranger. He wasn't really too good to me. Overall, the series was actually it's surprisingly really good. I don't see why people would hate it, but I understand why people would hate it.
Yeah, it's just people hate it how it was bandwagoning. Some people say it has too many cliches, and
Turbo was garbage. No, Turbo was probably the worst.
Was Turbo one of the later ones or one of the older ones? I can't
After
remember.
Zeo, remember how they had that burping monster one episode of Divatox?
Oh, I remember now. Yeah, Turbo. I think the only thing that I liked about Turbo was the intro. Like, then again, you can say about like almost every Power Ranger series.
Back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I know people in the comments are like, "What are they talking about? These people? What are they talking about?"
I love how the sheer mention of Saturday morning cartoons got it shifted from Yu-Gi-Oh! To Power Rangers.
So generally, there are reprints in the game. Do you like when there's more reprints in the game, or do you just like single cards where you just buy them and they just should have value?
As somebody who does not have money, I like reprints.
As a poor guy, I love them.
So, like, I can't tell you how hard it is to try and keep up with like, so I have a very, very, very competitive locals. Almost everybody at my locals is playing some one of the meta decks. A lot of people have moved away from Spirals because they're all getting bored of it. But however, almost everybody's playing some variant of a meta deck, and every single one of them has put in thousands of thousands and thousands of dollars into this game.
Thousands.
And I've seen some of their collections. They have thousands of dollars worth of cards. Okay.
Meanwhile, you have Mega Pack Blue Eyes Twin Birds.
Well, hang on. I have something none of them have. Sorry, I had to grab this.
No problem.
Just going to show off. Anybody who's followed my channel knows about these wonderful things. Signed Blue Eyes White Dragons by Kaiba. They're my original. Yep.
Oh my god.
They're my original duelist. What was it called? Crap. Started at Kaiba Blue Eyes is from when I was a kid. You have no idea how hard it was to talk my mom into buying me 3 of those. It was like, why do you want 3 of the same thing? And I'm like, but I need all 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons.
Mom, help me, please! I have a fetish for blue eyes.
And granted, I had one of the LOB ones because my older brother gave me almost all his cards. Actually, pretty much all his cards. Then all of them were stolen when I were on, but that's a different story. But I hated the LOB art as a kid, and I still do now.
When I first saw that, I was like, wait a minute. I thought that version you just showed me was the first one, because you see that in the anime. And then I learned that the other version, the LOB one, is actually the first one, which is confusing.
Yeah, because LOB came out first.
Yeah.
And then it started that came out a bit later.
If you see my channel, you know what my favorite card is.
Magician.
I love Dark Magician.
But
a little birdie told me you also like Dark Magician as well.
I love Dark Magician. Good Lord, the deck is so much fun to play.
It's so much fun. It's not even good. You're just like, I just don't care if I lose.
I actually think it's so close to being super good. I feel like the big thing it needs is a way to search out Aya Tobias so you can actually summon the Dark Magician Dragonite easily, because he's such a good boss monster. Funny story actually, and now I just remembered a meta deck that I did build, that I actively did build because that was Zodiac towards, I'd say, right when the prices started going down because the Banlist was about to come out. Or no, the Banlist did come out and it knocked down the prices, but the deck was still good. And it was the end of the semester and I sold my textbooks and I had a bunch of extra money. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm going to go and see what I could get. And I was thinking about building Dark Magician, but I did the math, and this was before all the reprints. Dark Magician was more expensive than full power Zodiac.
This is
Think about
that. Traps too, right?
This was before anybody. This was before Ash Blossom and stuff. This is before.
Yeah, you're right.
So this was just for the Zodiac core. Freaking Dark Magician was more expensive than Zodiac, and I wanted to build Dark Magician, but I did not have the money for it. I had enough money for Zodiac. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Zodiac may have gotten hit, but they're still a good deck. I'm going to build it, and I ended up. And as I said earlier, I put my own twist on things. I built Zodiac Lunalight, and the deck just was so incredibly good. The funny thing is that Zodiacs, as an archetype, has no easy way to get rid of any of the Lunalight fusions, other than the first one. With the exception of using Whiptail. That's their one out to the big ones. Because Dryden can't pop either of the 2 bigger ones, so you just basically summon your own Dryden, pop their Dryden, and you summon one of the big ones, and you go for an OTK. And that was what I did. And that was like my own thing. Like, people hated me for doing it. They're like, why don't we just play pure Zodiac? And I'm like, I want to do this thing. And then... back on to reprints. Reprints are something that I really feel like are absolutely necessary. Okay, take for instance Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Okay, everybody at my locals has a playset. Okay, everybody except for me and the other casual players. And as somebody who tries to be casual yet competitive, I try to build my decks to the best that I can possibly. Yeah, that's what I call it, and people think I'm crazy because, you can only be one or the other. And I'm like, no, I want to be casual, but competitive because I still want to make my casual decks good enough to where I can do well in a tournament theoretically. And so it's incredibly hard to do so though when you can't afford the best hand trap in the game, and your deck just gets destroyed by every single one of these hand traps. It's really, really obnoxious.
You're playing Effect Veiler. You're like, this is as good as Ash Blossom in some ways. It's a tuner. You know, it gets effects. It's a tuner.
I took Trickstars to, and I love Trickstars. They're one of my favorite Frames archetypes so far. I took Trickstars to the most recent regional that I could go to, and since I couldn't afford Ash Blossoms, and my friend who was going to let me borrow them couldn't because somebody else asked first, and they ended up going to the regional, and I was like, I was going to be the guy who was going to get it if the other guy didn't go, but he decided to go, so I got out of those, so I played Effect Killer instead. Jeez, and the card won me games, especially in the mirror match. Effect Killer and Cantina is hilarious.
I feel bad for Effect Killer. It's not really that bad of a card. It just got so power creep that, like, you don't even look at it anymore. It's just like, what is Effect Veiler? You just don't care for it. My friend, he was poor enough. He just he played Skullmeisters. I looked at him and laughed at him. I was like, I'm not dueling you with those in your deck. Just, I know you're poor, dude, but take that shit out.
I mean, I can see why people would make the argument that Skullmeister is somewhat relevant. There's a lot of grave effects going on. You know, Spirals have a lot of stuff that activate in grave.
Take your account, take your debit card, go on TCG Player, put 3 Effect Veilers in your cart, and hit process. Proceed to checkout. I guarantee you that'll probably win you more games than Skullmeister.
Yeah, I mean,
or you could just buy Ghost Ogres. A budget Ash Blossom.
Just don't go for the ones that somebody bought all out.
Or in my case, you just pull them. What about Banlist? Because now we have Spirals, but do you think the Banlist will actually do anything, given the fact that Spirals might get power creeped by Pendulum Magicians, since they will get Electromite anyway?
Here's the thing. From my experience playing around with Pendulum Magicians, now keep in mind, I haven't dueled against the big versions going on in Japan that are running around because we don't have some of the cards that they have over there. But from the builds that I have played against, and from the builds I've tested, I don't think Pendulum Magicians are going to be as bad of a problem as people are saying. I think Spirals, let's say theoretically, the Banlist comes out, doesn't do a single thing to Spirals. That, or they wait until after Extreme Force comes out. I feel like people who love Spirals enough and have already put in so much effort into the deck are going to innovate and find ways to play the deck with the tyranny of Electromite going around. So that's what my general gist is. I feel like that unless Spirals get completely and utterly destroyed on the Banlist, then we aren't going to have as big of an issue with Pendulum Magicians over here. Because you got to keep in mind that the reason why Pendulum Magicians are so incredibly good over in Japan is that there is nothing else like really worth playing. Spirals got destroyed on the Banlist over there.
Yeah.
You know,
Danglong is banned over there, so they can't really use what's that deck? I'm forgetting it right now. The deck that made Danglong good.
Dinosaurs?
Yeah. Danglong is gone. They don't have ABCs anymore because their Buster Dragons have won.
Trickstar Reincarnations have one over there too. Now, granted, Trickstars did just top original over here, which is interesting.
They have a BA Link monster now too. BA's been doing some stuff over there.
Yeah, but even then, there's like really nothing super amazing. BA still has some hits over there. Every single deck that could contend against Pendulum Magicians at full power with Electromite cannot because they have hits on the ban list. I feel like if Konami wants to curb this upcoming Tier 1, almost Tier 0 deck, first and foremost, I don't think, unless they kill Spirals over here, I don't think it's going to be Tier 0. But however, with that being said, it's still going to be an incredibly powerful deck. Now, if they want to, they can try and curb it a little bit by hitting some of the things. Believe it or not, but I think Astrocraft Sorcerer is a good possible hit to get hit. No one's talking about that card.
I think the safer thing would be they would just hit Joker again. They did did that before. They giving us cards back to 3 and just throw them back at 1 again. I think realistically they would just hit Joker again. But I can see the Astrograph Sorcerer because that card is really good actually.
I mean, think about it. You nuke your own. So let's say theoretically, you summon an Electromite, you put like Joker in your Pendulum Zone. I mean, in your X check. You let's say you place Purple Poison in your Pendulum Zone, and you have Astrograph in hand. Use Electromite's effect, pop Purple Poison to add back Joker to hand, and then draw 1 card, and then Astrograph effect, special summon, grab back another Purple Poison from deck, Purple Poison effect, pop a card, normal summon Joker, search, and then, I mean, think about that, that's stupid. That is assuming that you've already done something to get Electromite out, but, you know, now, that being said, though, people are going crazy over 2 particular Pendulum monsters, Abyss Actor Curtain Riser and Supreme King Dragon Darkworm. The big thing is that they are Pendulum monsters that have special summoning effects to where you don't have to use your Pendulum Summon or your normal summon to get them out on the field. So, like, for instance, Curtain Riser, if you see your scale and you control no monsters, you get spell summon from your scale. And then you just normal summon Joker, do your search, link into Electromite, proceed to do your plays. Same thing with Darkworm, you full Spectral Darkworm. Darkworm has a graveyard effect where if you don't control any monsters, you can spell summon from your graveyard, and then you just normal summon Joker or any other Pendulum monster, make Electromite do your plays. It's the same kind of thing. People are trying to innovate to find the easiest way to make Electromite without wasting their Pendulum Summon and without really having to waste a normal summon just yet. So it's really going to be interesting to see how people do it. People are playing Chronograph Sorcerer in Japan. Okay, the big thing is, I mean, think about it, though. Okay, let's say you're playing Pendulum Magicians, you know, and then you, let's say, for instance, activate a scale, activate another scale, Wavering Eyes, pop 2 things, get search. Chronograph Sorcerer effect, special summon and stuff from hand, use his effect, summon another dude from hand, make Electromite. And then you still have, what, 2 to 3 cards, depending on what turn it is, in your hand, and then you can possibly set your scales again, and then go off from there. You know, again, people are being super innovative.
Oh my god. I think pendulums, unlike Spiral, there wasn't really enough to actually deal with them. I think for Pendulum's case, since there is so much Pendulum hate, I think Dimensional Barrier itself is a really good pickup. That's just my opinion. I think anything that has Pendulum in a meta, Dimensional Barrier, instant 3 of.
Yeah, Pendulums, and this is another big aspect as well, I don't think they're going to be tier 0. They are so incredibly easy to side against. Hell, there's, let's see here, Anti-Spell, Deed Barrier, Unending Nightmare,
Spell-Shattering Arrow?
Spell-Shattering Arrow, any sort of back row destruction, Cosmic Cyclone.
Cosmic Cyclone's probably the biggest one. You just knock out a scale, you're like, what the f... Whoa,
yeah,
I think I lost.
Yeah, get rid of their Purple Poison, and then, oh hey, now they can't pop something because you banish it, not destroy it. It's really easy to side against Pendulums. Really, really easy. The big thing is that if you don't...
That's the stereotype. Just because it's really easy to side against, doesn't mean you always win against it. Because...
Yeah. I mean, heck, I can't tell you how many times where I side against a deck that I know is super easy to side against, and then I don't draw any of my side cards, and I get destroyed.
One time, when I was a scrub, dude, I sided in 13 cards. You know, sometimes you make bad decisions, and by bad decision, that was a terrible decision. And then you generally
never want to side more than 5 cards.
No, dude.
Never.
The whole thing.
People used to do that. They would make their side deck an entire other deck. So, like, for instance,
like
I remember there was a hero. Huh?
Smoke screen is what they called it, right?
Yeah, kind of. I think that is what it's called. I don't know. I've never heard a term being used for it. I remember in particular watching, back when Pexicus uploaded videos on a consistent basis, and did deck profiles and stuff. I remember there was this one guy who did a deck profile. This is back in Inzector format. And the guy would play, he was maining heroes, okay? He would play heroes, it was Bubble Bee, you know, your pretty standard hero build. And his side deck was nothing but Inzector stuff. And so then what he would do is, game 2, he would side out all his hero stuff, or at least as much of it as he could, put in all the Inzector stuff. People would be siding for heroes, and then, oh, hey, I'm playing Inzectors, and you don't have your side. And then if he lost, or they go into game 3 or whatever, he would side back into heroes, because then they would side for Inzectors.
The ultimate mindset. Yeah, I've seen a couple of those before. one guy did chamber.
Mhm.
Oh my god, that is so petty.
I saw a Chamber player one time. He sided his entire side deck was just basically a switch to Final Countdown. This is back when Final Countdown was at 3, so he knows that people would side stuff to stop the burn damage. So he would side into 3 Final Countdown, the 3 1 day apiece, all this other stuff, and then of course depending on who won or whatever, he would go first, activate Final Countdown, and proceed to watch as his opponent just has the most WTF face possible.
This has been fun. This has been really fun. It has been great nice to do a video with you.
Same. I want to do this again, or heck, if you ever want to go in or something.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it again, because right now I do have to go someplace, so I don't want to keep you too long either.
Yeah.
This has been Low Tier for Life. Do you want to say anything before we have to leave?
I can't think of anything. Stay in school. Don't do drugs.
Do all those things.
Watch because I said the D word. Just get demonetized and unsuitable for advertisements. Even though you said don't do it.
Fucking bullshit.
Oh, that would have. Oh.
That's it. I'm probably gonna get flagged for saying that. God damn it! No! It's just again!
At this rate, you might as well just start going on a cursing tirade.
Just be like Simo, hey guys, No, can't do that. But, this has been Low Tier for Life. I will leave his channel in the description box below. I'm MasterSwagKing. If you guys want to check out my content and love it, support on Patreon. Don't do that, support on PayPal. Hit the notification bell every single time I load a video so you can see my gorgeous, die-hard Dwayne Johnson face as I talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! I'll see you guys later. Bye.
See ya. Peace out.